I'm going to be covering how to read data from files in Python. This is something that's very important because there's a 100% chance it's going to show up in the coursework. So if we click on the team and we scroll down to week 2 reading files and read array, all the theory is written here in task.md as well as the tasks themselves. Now what I've done, I've tried to do something different and just make like a page you can refer back to during the coursework where this covers every way to read a file. So let me explain. In other words, you might see data that is a single column of strings. So we've got names here, names.txt, it's just a bunch of strings in a column. That is one way you might see the data. You might also see the data as a column of numbers. So I've got numbers.txt here. Now that's actually slightly different. You could use the single string column method, which is just these lines, and it would work to a degree. The problem is it reads the strings in as, it reads the numbers in as strings. It reads it in as pieces of text and not numbers. So every number would have like little quote marks around it, which is problematic if you were trying to find the highest number because it just sees them all as words. So I've made this bit of code here, which is just, it's actually very similar, but then it's got an extra few lines here, which makes a separate array. I should go over this one first, to be honest. So this one, it just opens up the file, and then it reads them in, and it uses this little thing called split lines to recognize that the names are on different lines, and it works by magic, really. File.close, you don't really need to do that. It's just polite, I guess. So it'd probably work with just the 2 lines there. The integer one, now it reads them in as text still. These 2 lines are exactly the same, but you need to set up somewhere to put, you're going to be converting each string into a number, so you need to set up somewhere to put them. That's where this integer list comes in. So you loop through every single value of the list. That's how you loop through it. So you go for I in range 0 to the length of the list, and because we've used the len function, not a certain number, this will adapt to whatever you read in, and this will just append, and it converts it into an integer first, and then it makes a copy of it. It makes integer list, and notice it returns integer list here. So we've got string list and integer list. This one returns integer list. We still have a list of strings here, we're just not using it. Whereas this one returns string list because we're making a list. Well, you're still making a list of strings there. The hardest one that might come up is multiple columns, and it might be different data types. So it opens up very similar, and then you've got string list, and then it does all the split line thing. But what you need to do is set up, different lists or arrays to be ready to take that data. Now I've just said A, B and C, imagining there's 3 different things. There could be 2 or there could be 10, I don't really know, but if you would just add or subtract these depending on how many columns you've got. So the task in this document, there is 3 columns, so you would just keep it the same, right? You might want to give it a better name than list A as well. So if it was this one, you might want to make it like first name array, or first name list, or surname list, age list, and so on, just to make your code a bit cleaner and more understandable. You don't want it to look like a copy and paste job either. And then what it does is it loops through the whole list, and it uses this thing called the split function, which breaks it up at the comma. So it recognizes that the comma means it's something different. So it will add the first, so here's our column A, B, C. The way it's set up like that, basically it returns the first value. It's all put into one giant array, but it returns the first value to the first column, then the second, then the third, and then it'll loop round, and it'll just keep splitting it up that way. It'll keep going first, second, third, first, second, and then so on. After you've done that, you need to append them to arrays. Now, I've done append string here. This is unneeded. It doesn't need that. It's going to be a string by default. I've just done that in case you want to change it and you don't forget about that in the future. So say you're adding numbers, you would need to change that string to int. Or if it was floating point numbers, if it was decimal numbers, you would need to write float, and then it would change the data. So you could technically get rid of these if it's because it's strings anyway, but I've just kept it there so it's like a template you can copy and paste. So what you've got to do is, where's the actual task? Your task is to read and display each of the 3 text files in the sidebar. Right, I've kind of went over that already. So let's see what I see this names.txt. I've already started off the code, so we're going to call in read string file. So you just have to copy this, and I'm wanting to emphasize you could just do this in the coursework as well. I've tried to make it as generic as possible. You just need to change the names of a few things. And then we'll go to Python and then paste it at the top. So we've got our subprograms at the top, main program at the bottom. And string array equals read. So read string file is going to run, and it's going to return something to string array. It's going to return string list to string array, and then it's just going to print it out. I haven't got any display methods or anything. We'll be doing that in the next task. So if you run it, no such file directory, file name.txt. Now that's because the only thing you've got to change is this bit here. Bit in the quotes. So we just look at names.txt, and it reads in, and it's all names of characters from Scooby-Doo. Now I don't know why there's quotes around that. They shouldn't be there. Editing live. I'm not going to re-edit this. I can't be bothered. That's why it's looking. Right, if you run that, and now it looks what it should look like here. Right, so that's how you read in the strings. All you got to do for the rest of this is do the same for integers, do the same for the numbers. Just copy and paste this, call it at the bottom, and then print it out. And then the multiple columns, you just have to copy and paste it, but be careful of the names of the, not the names, the data types down here. So then, because they're not all strings in this file here. Right, task 2, I'll just quickly speed through that. It's read and find minimum. Now, from last week's work, the find minimum program, I think it was the first one, there's a bunch of numbers here, 100 numbers. You need to find the lowest number. And if you copy and paste the read method from the last program, and then you copy and paste the find minimum program from the last week's work, make a couple tiny changes to it. You're just like renaming a couple things really. So you would have 2 subprograms. You would have one that says find minimum, I can't spell, and then def find minimum, and then you would copy and paste all that, and then you'd have another one that says obviously def read string, or not read string, sorry, read integer from file, and then you return the right values from here and here, and then you just print them out after. And sorry, you don't need to print them out, because the find minimum, it should print them out anyway. Maybe it's a bit confusing the order I've done there. So you should probably have read integer from file be your first thing, and then find minimum there. I'm not going to go over the rest, but there's a hint. You're going to have 2 subprograms. The last program is read and display, which is, again, you just need to read the file in. The file is here. It's all about movies and how much money they've made. So think about that, what method you would copy there. And your task is just getting to come out in sentences like this. So Avengers Endgame made 2,797,000,000 blah blah blah. But you want it in like a full sentence, so you're going to be displaying them. Now the display method, you're going to have to make yourself. You can't just copy and paste that one. So you're going to have one method for reading in the files and another one for displaying them. You want to loop through the array to do that. That is your hint. There's going to be, we've done it in the past. So look through your old programs. if you do get stuck on that. Right, but like I was saying, most of the code for these tasks and for the coursework, it is here. It is under the task document. You should be good with either of these, any of these three documents, three bits of text here. Right, hopefully this was useful and hopefully it makes sense. Right, thank you, bye.